He was the most feared assassin of the mafia, but a job perpetuated against Chinese triads earned him many enemies, including close friends. On that day, he'd just have one job: keep himself alive irrespective of number of his enemies.
It's the only one I know.
Tell me where I can find this guy.
Welcome back to Paramount Recapped. I don't have many subscribers, but your single comment is a ray of hope to motivate me.
No,
Why do you have a rifle?
just do what I say.
The movie kicks off with Nels Coxman, a guy who drives a snowplow in a small town called Kehoe. Nels and his wife, Grace, live a quiet, peaceful life. Their son, Carl, works at the Kehoe airport and often drops by to visit.
Where'd you find this stranger?
Nels even wins the Citizen of the Year award, but things quickly take a dark turn when Carl and his buddy Dante get kidnapped. The kidnappers inject Carl with a fatal dose of drugs, killing him, though Dante manages to escape. Over in Denver, a ruthless drug lord named Viking is teaching his son, Ryan, to use violence against school bullies.
Are you saying I should hit him?
Ryan, being more peaceful, refuses to follow his dad's orders. Back in Kehoe, Nels and Grace receive the heartbreaking news of Carl's death and are asked to identify the body. The doctors say it was a drug overdose, but Nels doesn't buy it. He knows Carl wasn't into drugs.
He died of a heroin overdose.
Grace is devastated and lashes out at Nels for not showing enough emotion. Overcome with grief, Nels contemplates ending his life with a shotgun. Just as he's about to do it, Dante shows up and tells Nels that Carl didn't die from an overdose.
Kyle didn't know about any of this.
Furious, Nels pushes Dante for information and finds out about a guy named Speedo who might know more. Nels tracks Speedo down at a local club and, after some physical persuasion, gets him to admit that he was just following orders from a guy named Limbo.
Limbo?
Nels doesn't waste any time. He hunts down Limbo and kills him, dumping the body in the river. Meanwhile, Viking gets a call about Speedo disappearing and starts to get suspicious. His son, Ryan, thinks his dad is involved, but Viking brushes it off. Nels, still out for vengeance, tracks down Limbo at his workplace and forces him to spill the beans on who's really behind Carl's kidnapping. After killing Limbo and disposing of the body, Nels goes home, where Grace confronts him about Carl's hobbies. She realizes Nels never really knew their son, which leaves her feeling even more upset. In Denver, Viking's ex-wife shows up, threatening to file for custody of their son, Ryan. This angers Viking, and he tries to bribe her, but she refuses. Just as they're arguing, Viking hears about Limbo's disappearance and starts questioning his employees. Ryan watches his dad closely, knowing something's up. Nels, meanwhile, keeps his revenge spree going, taking out another thug, Santa, who was involved in Carl's abduction. When Nels gets home, he finds that Grace is left, unable to cope with his coldness toward their son's death. Feeling lost, Nels goes to his brother Brock, a former gangster, and explains everything. Brock tells Nels there was a mix-up. Carl and Dante had stolen gold from Viking, which put them in the crosshairs of the drug lord. Brock, who knows Viking from the past, warns Nels that going after him is nearly impossible. As the brothers talk, Viking is informed of Santa's disappearance and wrongly assumes that a rival gang led by White Bull is behind it. Thinking White Bull's gang is breaking their truce, Viking orders his men to kidnap one of White Bull's crew members and torture him for information. When the guy refuses to talk, Viking shoots him, not realizing he just killed White Bull's only son. Kehoe police detectives Kim Dash and John Jip hear about the murder and start worrying that a gang war might erupt in their town. Kim urges John to act quickly before things spiral out of control. Back at Brock's place, he tells Nels that Viking's real name is Trevor Calcode and suggests Nels hire a hitman to take him out. He mentions a guy named Eskimo who can get the job done. Nels meets Eskimo, offers him money, and the deal seems set. But Eskimo, smelling something fishy, tries to play both sides. He goes to Viking and offers to sell out the person trying to kill him. Nels. Viking agrees, and Eskimo reveals Nels' identity. Viking initially thinks it's Brock due to their history, but later figures out it's Nels. Angry at Eskimo's betrayal, Viking kills him for double-crossing Nels. Nels continues hunting for more leads on Viking, while Viking pays Brock a visit. During their conversation, Viking tries to get answers about who's been killing his men. Brock, who's terminally ill with cancer, decides to take the blame to protect Nels. He claims it's all about an old grudge, their father stole Brock's lover. Satisfied with this explanation, Viking kills Brock, unaware that Nels is still out for revenge. Meanwhile, White Bull, the rival gang leader, mourns the loss of his only son, setting the stage for an even bloodier conflict. White Bull tells his crew that the old deal with Viking's dad is off the table now that his son has been murdered. He's determined to take revenge on Viking, announcing his plan to take his son for his son. Meanwhile, Coxman, realizing Eskimo didn't kill him, starts watching Viking's house and discovers that his son goes to a fancy prep school. After killing Brock and realizing White Bull wasn't behind the deaths of his men, Viking tries to re-establish his deal with White Bull. He does this by killing one of his own guys, Dexter, and sending his severed head to White Bull as a twisted peace offer. When they get the package with Dexter's head, White Bull gets the message. Viking's crew killed his son, punished Dexter. White Bull thanks them for the gift, but shoots the messenger, making it clear that he only wants Viking's son and isn't interested in any further escalation. Meanwhile, Detective Kim starts digging into Carl's death, suspecting that it wasn't just a simple overdose. She visits Coxman and shares her doubts, hoping he can help her figure out the truth. Still grieving, Coxman shuts her down, believing nothing will bring his son back. Later, Coxman shows up at Ryan's school and pretends he's there to pick him up on Vikingers. Although Ryan's never met Coxman before, he reluctantly goes along with him. White Bull's men spot Coxman outside the school and give chase, but Coxman manages to lose them and takes Ryan home. Viking soon gets word that his son is missing. Before he can do anything, his wife returns and accuses him of taking Ryan without telling her. Viking reassures her that someone will soon call with ransom demands and that he's already working on a plan to get their son back. Meanwhile, White Bull's men find a text on Dexter's phone, which leads them to Viking's location at a hotel. They track him down and kill him, further escalating the situation. Back at Coxman's place, he and Ryan talk. Ryan asks Coxman about his family, and Coxman admits that he used to have a son, but he's no longer around. Coxman is gentle with Ryan, letting him sleep in Carl's old room. He even reads him a bedtime story and offers to take him for a ride in his snowplow the next day. Over at the ski resort, White Bull's crew is relaxing, but White Bull is still grieving the loss of his son and determined to get revenge. In Denver, Viking's men capture a school janitor who spills the beans that it was Coxman who took Ryan. Viking realizes he mixed up the names and that it's Nels, not Brock, who's been messing with. Coxman then calls Viking, telling him to come alone if he wants to get his son back. Viking agrees but secretly sends his men to Kehoe. They raid Coxman's house, but find it empty. Coxman has taken Ryan out for a ride in his snowplow. They run into a cop, and Coxman introduces Ryan as his nephew to avoid suspicion. While chatting with the cop, Coxman realizes that Viking has arrived at his house. As Viking's men search for clues, they find a company name in a photo and decide to check it out, hoping to find Ryan. But one of Viking's guys leaks the information to White Bull, letting him know what Viking's crew is up to. Coxman prepares to take a shot at Viking's car, but Ryan interrupts him. Coxman quickly gets Ryan back inside the house and tells him to stay put while he deals with things. He tries to take another shot at Viking, but is captured by Viking's men and taken to him for questioning. Before Coxman can say anything, White Bull and his crew show up, and an intense gunfight breaks out between the two rival groups. Both sides take heavy losses. In the chaos, Coxman manages to trap Viking in his car, giving White Bull the opportunity to finish him off. With Viking dead, Coxman leaves the scene and goes back to his regular life, heading to work in his snowplow. White Bull hops into the truck with him, and they silently drive away. As they're heading out, a stray gang member stumbles into their path and is accidentally run over by the snowplow. The movie ends with the violent feud finally over and Coxman driving off with White Bull.